Thank you, Deepu. And today we'll be discussing about creating maintainable CSS with SAS. Actually, I've seen some front-end developers here. Uh, have you used SAS before? No. So, SAS, CSS with some superpowers. And we'll be talking about CSS preprocessors, then some a little bit of SAS, setting it up, some features. It's some basic features, but it's awesome. And yeah, this is what we'll be covering in this session. And to begin with, CSS preprocessors. Actually, CSS preprocessor is a program which extends the capability of CSS and gets compiled into regular CSS. Okay, these are some of the preprocessors. We have less, SAS, stylus, then CSS Crush, then something called Myth. Actually, the list is growing. And today I'll be talking about SAS, syntactically awesome style sheets. Okay. To begin with, first we have to set up SAS in a local development environment. Actually, the final output, one thing which I want to clarify is that only the final output will be deployed and it's pure CSS. Okay. And first we have to install SAS. SAS can be installed in two ways. If you guys are comfortable with using command line tools, then definitely we can move forward with command line. I prefer command line. Okay. And make sure you have Ruby installed in your system. Okay. And I think for Linux and Mac users, Ruby will be installed by default. And if you are a Windows user, setting up Ruby was a bit tedious, and we have something which is called Ruby installer. There's a site called rubyinstaller.org. From there, you can just simply download the installer file, and it's just a one-click install. Nothing much complicated or something like that. From that, once you have installed Ruby, you have to run a command. It's called gem install SAS. Actually, gem is a package manager for Ruby. It simply gets us all the dependencies, whatever dependencies SAS needs to our local environment. That's it. Okay. This is how we can install SAS using a command line tool. And if you guys are not comfortable with command line tools, we have some applications. These are third-party applications, GUI applications. One of them is Scout, another is Compass. We have a lot more other applications like preprocess and something like that. Actually, today I'll be using Scout. Why? Because it's free. It's a free application. Compass costs around $10. That's why I'm using Scout. And what actually Scout does is it installs Ruby, and it also helps to compile your SAS to CSS file. And okay.
So, if there is any questions, feel free to ask. Because if we are unable to understand anything in the beginning, then we will continue till then. And we are at a stage that we can ask any questions. Silly questions can be asked.
You're on it's space time. You have probably you can just fill out the ID.
Actually, you can use any ID you wish.
It may not be two, three steps. It comes in a single booklet. It, yes, you can hear. Um, uh, for less and SAS, all these come as a single, bookmark list. People have created those bookmark lists. You just have to go and install. All these get installed one after the other. And finally, at the max, if the gem is not there, maybe you just have to install the Ruby gem as the first step. But others, they get installed. You don't have to manually go and do all these one by one. Even Compass, along with the preprocessor, it comes as a package. And you just have to go to Eclipse, find the package for SAS or less, install it in one go, and you are done.
Yeah, actually,
Um,
we never use
okay.
Eclipse in our development.
Okay.
That's why I'm not covering. Actually, that's also a point. I have learned something like that.
Uh, uh, we use Aptana Studio for our development. It's a free tool. The only reason is that it makes life a bit easier for people to jumpstart into development. So you don't have to gather much. So if it is like needs to be pulled from multiple sources, anybody can build in one machine, generate an XML bookmarklet, and share it across the team. So they just have to say install. Yes, yes, that way.
Okay, those who are not aware of these things, don't worry about any of these stuff. So that is we can just move forward and start how to install these things. And those who know about these things, just understand.
Actually, what he said is about our workspace, right? Yeah, we are using either Sublime or Atom. We never uses Eclipse or something like that. That's why I am covering like this. Okay, and this is the Scout application. Okay.
So where we were standing is like we were just trying to install these things, right? So we are instead of using command line, we are trying to use a third party called Scout.
And I have to add that I have a folder in my local machine.
So first we have to go and install Scout in our machine.
Yeah.
Then open it and assign it to a folder.
Yeah.
Project
Just
folder.
like that. And just choose my input folder. My input will be SCSS, and I always keep my input inside the SCSS folder. And my output to where my SCSS should compile to CSS and go. That's it, and click play. Scout will be polling for changes. We'll be looking for changes. Okay. Before installing Scout, actually, you guys have to install Java. Actually, Java is a different. And please try to use command line as much as possible, and that will give you some fine-grained control over your SAS and stuff like that. Because now front-end workflow is something which is moving really fast, and guys are using command line tools and something like that. And I've seen a lot of my colleagues, what to say, are hesitated to use command line, but it's not that much problem, I think. Just try it, and that's it. That's how we are here. It started compiling, and the process will carry on. If you are compiling the SAS file using a command line tool, sorry, if you are writing SAS and using command line, then definitely we have to compile a SAS file, and this is the way which we actually does. Actually, SAS watch the input SCSS file colon output SCSS file. If we want to watch a what to say, a full directory, then you can specify the path of the SAS directory, and next is the output directory. Okay.
So why is this watch?
Actually, it will look for any changes. If I change something, this will be called, and all the processes, the CSS will, the SAS file will be generated to CSS. We have a lot more options like live reload, something like that. Hope you you know. Actually, we have.
Those of you who are familiar with auto build, it just means that when you hit Control S, things will auto generate. As simple as that. So you write your script in SAS. Say you don't have to go to your menu and say build or generate to generate your files. So whichever folder or file you save as watch, any change that you do, either in one file or multiple files, and the moment you hit Control S, the output will be generated.
Thank you. Yeah, sure. And that's it. That's all installing SAS. Hope you all guys are aware of what we have done. Okay. Actually, feel free.
Able to go and start using it. So for whatever reason, then you will be able to install these things and then select the source directly and target directly. And you get the basic setup for writing.
Okay. Going forward, today regarding SAS, I'll be talking about the syntax which we are going to use and some of the features that I have already mentioned, which includes variables, mixings, nesting, inheritance, partials, and operators. Okay. To begin with, syntax. When first SAS was introduced, the syntax looked something like this. It doesn't have a curly brace or a semicolon, just intended codes. And really it was painful to debug. And when first SAS was introduced. Later, I think in version 3.0, SAS got upgraded, and the file extension also got upgraded from .sass to .scss, and the syntax looks almost similar to CSS. It had those curly braces. those semicolons and stuff like that. And it's now easier to have a quick look and know what's actually happening there. Okay, that's about the syntax. And today I'll be focusing on the .scss syntax. Okay, these are some of the features which SAS provides us. The first one is variable. As you all know, variables are used to store data. Actually, if we have a variable, we can use throughout a SAS file. A variable usually starts with a $sign and it follows a name, $font. And if we want to use a variable, we can simply use it inside the property like this. Okay. And this is my SCSS file. This is my compiled output. Will be going to this. I'm just copy pasting this because of some time limitations. So that gets compiled into this. Okay, and specify. Okay. To add up, what actually SAS provides you is it will throw some errors. Usually CSS never throw syntax errors or something like that. If something goes wrong, then it will throw some. It looks something like this. Okay, this is variables. Next, mixin. Actually, mixin is a type of function which is used to group CSS declaration like this. It's a group of CSS. And what, with the help of mixins, we can provide parameters like this. Okay, usually a mixin begins with an @mixin keyword. This is the keyword, and followed by the mixin name. It can be anything. If not border radius, if I write XXX, then the mixin name will be XXX. Then after that we have the parenthesis, and inside that we can. I think it's self-explanatory. And using a mixin, this is the keyword. If we want to use a mixin, say I have a div and I just want to a 5-pixel border radius. I can simply grab the property, class name. Then inside that I can include my mixin, and this will be my generated CSS. And if I have another, say I have another box with 10-pixel border radius, then simply I can pass I can write another class and just pass 10 pixel here. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, if I never specify something, then it will be defaulted to that. Okay. If not specified a default value, then I have shown before some errors. Probably chances are better to uh, write a default value. Okay. Then, okay, hope mixing is clear. Yeah. Actually, these are really basic things just to kickstart SaaS. That's what I am trying to do. And functions. The functions begins with an at function keyword, followed by the function name, and inside that it's similar to mixing. What's the difference is uh, we can actually what yeah do complex math operations inside function, and another difference is we can only return a value. That's the basic difference between a function and a mixin. Okay, this is a simple example of what a function look like. At function, this is my function name and just a simple parameter, and I am returning uh, a simple math. Here inside the p element, I am using my, this is the same function name which we are using here. Then the base font, it's just I am storing it inside a variable for usable purpose, and the output will be something like this. Okay. And hope you guys are clear. Any questions? Function. Sorry. Actually, function is similar to mixin. The main difference is we are using function to create what? Yeah, maths like this. It can only return values. Here, what happens is it's just something like variables. Just pass a value here, then get it from here. No. Functions can return a value and yes, use math operations to alter the values. No. It will throw error. It will,
The values can be manipulated. I'm just, what I understand is mixins are like include. So whatever you have, so all the values will be included with the given parameter. Right. Right. That I'm not sure.
I think it's not possible.
So this radius into 2, that is one reason. That's all. That's all.
Yeah. Just take.
Yeah. Evaluating equation. But it's giving you a like
Some other number means radius in 3.
The key difference is this.
There's more like snippets you have. Snippets are placeholders. They're just placeholders for. It's like hard-coded value where you have what do you say, variables. It can take expression. In fact, I have not tried. I just knew. I was just waiting whether it will work or not. So that was not the condition. Right.
There are some
Limitation. The key, I believe, it's like a function always returns something, and
mixins can be written like this.
it's a snippet. It's a snippet where it just evaluates the value, and in place of variables it substitutes, but still it behaves as a snippet. So the idea is in the future, if you say new browser comes like WebKit or Moz, you don't have to run around updating everything. You just update your mixin, and then
What happens is that we can write cross browser support is really awesome. In future, if Spartan comes with the hyphen Spart something, then I just want to simply write a line of code here. I just not want to go through each and every.
No. I understood. I just wanted to check
Yeah, yeah,
whether
yeah.
expression will work or not.
Yeah, that's it. Actually, all your participations and all your suggestions will improve me, my team, the whole
See,
community here.
the silly questions many will be having such kind, but
Yeah.
they will not ask. That's what. See, there will be many features which is unknown. In some, it may not work also.
Yeah, yeah. And okay, nesting. This is also a cool feature of SAS nesting. We can nest selectors and properties. Okay. Nesting means chaining CSS, something like this. We don't want to write dot container a something like that. Just before write next thing before the closing curly brace.
Do we need to format, or it automatically get formatted? That curly braces.
No need of formatted something. That's not an issue.
See, if we see, we can understand under A, it's hover is there.
Yeah.
If everything comes aside, you may get confused. Asking whether that formation is
Indentation.
like Control Shift F something.
Actually,
Indentation kind.
here indentation is not a problem. We have indented it like this for better readability.
That's what. See,
Yeah.
automatically that happens, or we
No,
need
no,
to
no.
do?
No automatic indentations happen. Okay. We can.
It's a generated thing that is main dot CSS, that is, it will be automatically indented. Right?
Yeah. It's a. He was talking about that SCSS file, right? Yeah. Actually, we can set up a development environment to work in a way that we just want to write unindented code, and pressing the save button will indent my code. We have options. sorry. Hope you all can. Okay. And if you want to target a parent element, just use an ampersand. What ampersand does is it will target the parent element. Here, if I want to write a hover, just sorry, I have written it here. Just okay. For targeting a parent element, you can use something like an ampersand symbol. That's nesting in SAS. And moving forward, inheritance. Actually, what inheritance does is it helps to copy properties between selectors. For example, we have a button, a class of dot button, and it's having background color, display color, and properties like that. And I have another button in which the background color is red and my color is white or something. I can just extend the properties of my button element using the @extend keyword. It simply extends the button and we can add the anything which we want to add inside the next thing. And
there is overriding also is there. Overriding of background color.
Demo section itself and start explaining, because backside people are not able to see it and relate. So you can explain it once again.
Sorry. @extend, you inheritance in SCSS. That's what we are talking about. And if you want to inherit a CSS property, then we have a keyword called @extend. And what @extend does is it will extend the class which we are giving here and all the additional properties will be there. For example, I have a button and I want to extend my button. Say I want to change my button background color to something else, my color to something else. I just want to extend my button. Simply write @extend dot button is the class which I want to extend, and the output will be something like this. button, button alert, button success. Button alert, button. All these three classes will share the same properties, and the thing which is written after extend will be included as a separate classes, and the properties will be there. Okay. Hope you all understand. Okay. That's what inheritance is. And next is partials. Actually, have you guys used anything like SMAX, BEM, or something like that? No, that's not a problem. What actually partial does is it helps to include small snippets of CSS, SCSS inside another file. For example, I have created a partial called utility. Sorry. I have a partial file called search.scss and another file called utility.scss. Actually, a partial file begins with an underscore like this: underscore utility.scss underscore search.scss. And what we actually does is will include this partial file inside the main CSS file like this. I will use a keyword called @import. Actually, in CSS @import, what @import will do is it will import a CSS file. It will be considered as a different HTTP request. So we never use @import. But in SCSS, when we use @import and we specifies the path to the partial file, and once we are specifying the path to partial files, we never uses the underscore. Here I have the underscore utility underscore. That's a convention. Okay, and once we use inside the main file, we never uses the underscore. And once it gets rendered, all the contents inside the files will be generated inside the single file. Actually, what it helps to modularize our CSS code. We can break our CSS code into small snippets and include it like this.
I have one quick question. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So can we extend more than one?
Sorry?
Can we extend more than one? And can we extend more than one that classes means dot things?
Yeah.
We are writing only one extend.
No. We can use multiple extents. That's
multiple extents.
Yeah.
And if we have the same dot search text in both, what will happen?
Dot search.
That example, dot search text in both the these things. Sorry, like border parameter in both the things, or dot search text in both the partial things. No, not overriding.
Yeah, it's just a copying.
No, I'm just asking. See, in the utility and search, okay, imagine I have dot search in that also, dot search in both also. So which one will it import?
It will import both.
But it will be ambiguous, right?
Yeah.
Dot search.
Yeah.
Then what will happen? How it will? Do it?
Yeah. While writing the CSS, we have to make sure it never happens.
Does it give compilation or something like duplicate is found or ambiguous?
Nothing will be thrown.
Yeah. See, there at text end.
That is what we need to do.
Will never throw it on the waste. Error.
What I'm basically asking is there are something called as multiple inheritance, multi-level inheritance. Will that work?
Here, search.txt. It is inside utility.scss, and we have this thing from search.scss. Both will be there, and what happens is that CSS will give prominence to the lowest thing. For example, this will be taken. That will be happening.
Yeah. So this question is from the previous session where you talked about inheritance. With the
Inheritance.
we will go back to the
I said for both also, but yeah.
Here also. Another one can inherit button alert.
Yeah.
Actually, third one is to
In button success you can add button alert.
yeah. Button success instead of action button. And button alert.
No, can you add both? I'm curious how it is behaves.
This is what happens.
Okay, button success.
Now, what I faced in my project is that overriding of this style sheet has caused a lot of problems. So means the same kind of things I write and the same with the same name if someone writes and we import both, so
It will cause issues.
yeah. So I
Also
want to
something like that for unfortunately for seasons.
yeah. If there is a way to find out the duplicate things here or like that, that was my issue. Yeah. Thank you. Almost 1 week it took to find out, and it wasted a lot of time.
Yeah, it's a hard thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Initially we built separately. Then we merged it. When we merged, the issues started coming. Bugs.
Let me think. I'll definitely get you a solution. And
Solution for that?
It's not a bug. Can you hear? Yep. Wow. It's not a bug. I don't see this as a bug because intentionally, how do we write before all this? Traditionally, if we have to override a class, what do? We
use an import.
Yes. So it's by design. It is meant to be like that. So it's not a mistake. probably we have to be careful to avoid it.
Yeah, that's what.
Probably they could just say a warning that there are overlaps. Be, be sure to
And
check it out.
one thing which I want to add is, if both of you guys are working on different say modules, keep a module name and use a div.
Yeah, that's what we realized later. That I'm just asking.
Yeah.
See, we
Keep-
don't know whether we'll integrate in future or not. The future things.
Actually, we also work as a team. What we does is we always divides our tasks into modules, and we will be giving a particular ID or something like that for the parent.
Once we
Element.
commit a mistake, we'll get to know. Before that,
That's experience. And last but not least, operators. You already seen SAS provides the SAS has the capability to do some complex math, and yeah, these types of operations, additions, multiplications, divisions, all that things are possible using SAS. Okay, so with that, I'm just winding my session. Please take this as a starter session only. We have a lot of capabilities which can be used by using SAS. We have loops, if-else conditions, and lot of things. And to add with, we have Compass, Bourbon, and these are frameworks. Actually, what Compass and Bourbon, all these gives is, it gives the capability to extend your CSS to a next level. Because with all these stuffs, we just want to write less code. And if you start using all this stuff, then really it will be a fun. So please take this as a starter session. And thank you.
So my question is it complex? No.
one more same question. What I wanted to
Okay.
see. When we are extending two things, we have a parameter called as font in both of it. So will it take first one or second one? Which one will be taken and or which one will be overridden?
Right.
Yeah. Means, see, he said like you said like last one will be taken for that search. Such kind, how is it taken, or is it like last one is taken or first one? The priority, how it is prioritized?
When browser render your CSS, the last lines will be taken. The output will be shown based on the lines which is there.
Here we have last line, but there at importing like extending, we have the same. After extending, it will give one or what? Think that a button alert and button both have like color same means different color parameter.
Yeah.
Okay, what will happen at button success?
Button success.
Yeah, it's just like
Button success.
which color will it get?
White color. Like this.
No, have it in button and button alert.
Yeah.
Change in button alert. Change the color thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Background to #F0,
Yeah.
FF0.
Okay. Yeah. Then in button success, remove that background color.
Just want to remove this.
Yeah. Then button success, which color will be taken? Is it from button alert or button?
The color will be
Background
this.
color. I meant background color.
Background color. Background
Yes.
color will be this. For button success.
So it means from the latest one.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
I hope I didn't make it boring by asking many questions.
No, it's good. It's good that we can revisit it again, and people can just understand it better. So that's really good. Okay. So it's Q&A time. You want to ask questions to me or Shiraz? To Shiraz, right?
Anybody who is smart.
Yeah.
Okay. Audible.
Yes. Shiraz, you have to sit here. There's a lot more questions coming.
My question is, I understand what SCSS means, and I understand with the help of that will generate the CSS. Now, are there alternatives to SCSS?
Yeah. We
Okay.
have alternatives like less, LESS, stylus. Then, if you are not comfortable with using all these things, we have CSS Crush. Actually, it's written using PHP.
So my follow-up question is, if let's say, is there any predominant support for any one of these technologies in the future? Will a browser understand SCSS instead of CSS? Because when you are talking about SCSS and CSS, same functionality with less bytes, even a browser can understand, right? So is there a let's say, as Google is supporting Angular, Google supporting less or SCSS. In future, let's say it says Chrome can understand SCSS.
We can hope so.
I think it will be supporting.
Actually, hope there will be supporting, actually not supporting .scss or something like that. Some of the features which SCSS gives us is now supported in the fourth version, CSS 4 version. Actually, the calc and something like that. For some complex math calculation, we can use calc. And maybe in future, chances are that in one way or another, browsers will support all these stuff. Browsers have to support all these stuff.
One more feedback was, most of us, I don't know, at least in my case, we use Bootstrap. And I'm not sure whether Bootstrap is SCSS or less.
Bootstrap have both SCSS less ported versions.
So,
And I think if you look into what here, here
and I understand SCSS to CSS, CSS to SCSS. Is that possible?
CSS to SCSS. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, I started learning because of this need only. If you are an Eclipse or Aptana Studio, there are some plugins available where if your CSS is properly formed, then it can auto-generate the SCSS. You might have to explore it. For simple CSS, it works, but for complex, even I've not tried, but it's possible. And before there is another alternate way. It's very traditional, without the need of any preprocessors. It's possible to automate or generate something like this. Can you think of some way where you can have some kind of what do you say, processes which can generate your CSS, or can you think of something? It's very, very, what do you say, a classic way, very old way of doing it. Have you used Ant builds? Ant? Yeah? So in Ant, you can just replace your variables. So you just write traditional CSS with some kind of keyword change, say tags, and when you publish or build using regular command line, batch processes, your Ant file will replace the variables from the property files. So
is it possible to watch the changes like?
that's not possible. That's what traditional Ant needs Ant build, regular Ant build process. You need Java, just JRE, and you write your script using XML, the build file, And finally, you just need a batch file, which compiles or runs or publishes your files. Run your batch file.
Run my just run a command gut in my command line. It will automatically do whatever it wants. And if you guys are not comfortable with gut, then we have live reload. What live reload actually does is it will compile your CSS. It will what compile your coffee script, anything like that, and the browser will also be reloaded automatically. Whenever something changes, browser will also be reloaded. So we have so much capabilities.
Actually, Compass does that. The plugin for Compass in Eclipse.
Actually, with Compass, I think reloaded is
Built-in. Possible. I'm not. I don't know. I'm not aware.
Okay, thank you. So, any more questions? So again, I'm asking, is it complex? No, right? That is, anybody with basic programming knowledge should be able to start adopting SCSS. And what we have to do is, we started with, that is, there was two methods for installation of SCSS in our system. Command line, then, yeah, Scout we can use. Then once we installed it, what was it? Was asking for a source and target, and we just gave the source and target, and after that, whenever we were making change, and then watching, right? Watching is for the command line. We do not need to do it if we are using Scout. It will automatically watch. Okay. Then whenever we make the change, that is, it will automatically reflect on the others when we save it. And then we learned about certain basic features of programming which we learned earlier. Only thing is, like, CSS started adopting these things. That's all. So I expect everyone to start using preprocessor. It is not like which is best, preprocessor, or wait for something better, or compare these things, but just start using any of these CSS preprocessors in your real work. That's all. Thank you. And also, CoffeeDBG is for making friends as well as asking questions, making acquaintance. Okay.